Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Mindful Chaos. This is your co host, Justin. And today will be a pretty intimate episode. I'm going to share a bit about my own personal experience back in January 2024, how my grandma passed, my mother's mom passed away. And that was the first time I've been with any relatives like next to them when they are going away. And I guess I will start a bit about her, some of my grandma's story and her personal background and all that stuff, family context and stuff. So, my grandma grew up in Taiwan. She actually lived in Taiwan or grew up in Taiwan during the occupation of Japanese soldiers. So she actually speaks a little bit of Japanese, but she cannot write. She's illiterate, but she can speak Taiwanese, Hokkien, or Hakka, which is another dialect, and Taiwanese, Hakka, and Chinese, and a little Japanese, but she can never read write. She can only know how to write her name. And she went back to school, elementary school, at age of, I think, 70 or something, just to learn how to write. And when I think about my mom's side of like my mom's side of relatives, I always bring fond memories because my mother's brother lived in Seattle or Olympia, which is an hour away from Seattle, for a long time. It still resides there now. And I used to go there during summertime when I was a kid, and my grandparents will go visit. And my grandma always, it's so funny that we have so many commonalities from our genetics or even upbringings without us noticing it as much as some people don't want to admit. But my grandma was always been the one that is so adventurous, and she just lives in the moment to an extent that it's quite inspiring. So she speaks no English, she don't know how to write, she don't know how to read, but then she will just go to China by herself. Of course, she speaks Chinese, but she will go to U.S. herself. And when I was a kid, going to summer school, I remember this also quite vividly. Was one time, as a kid, I thought she spoke English. So my grandma's like, "Oh, let's go to the farmer's market to buy some vegetable." So I will follow her, and I saw she was kind of quote unquote talking or kind of doing some gestures with a bus driver, and I thought she knew how to speak English, but it turns out she don't. She's like, "I don't need how to speak. I just kind of point," and then and I was like, "What the fuck?" So I'm like with my grandma, and she don't know how to speak the language, but she's able to get to places. Even negotiated with, let's say, sellers and all the farmers market, like vendors know her, and she even teach the neighbor how to grow their own vegetables and fruits. So when I thought about those memories when I was a kid, spending time with her at her house in Taiwan or even in US, it was always very different than what I was used to, which is very different than my father's side. And so this January, I got a phone call. I was in Mexico at the time. I wasn't planning to fly back because I was planning to go to see the Amazons. And my older sister called me and be like, "Hey, grandma has been in the hospital for a month. She was recovering, but now she's not doing so well. She needs to be intubated." And she's going to be intubated tomorrow. And you can decide what you want to do. And for me, when I heard that phone call, I remember distinctively that what should I do that minimize my regret? And during COVID, when everybody was doing lockdowns, and I had this feeling or intuition that was so strong that I wanted to visit my other grandma, which is my dad's mom. But all the uncles were going, like auntie was saying that, "Hey, it's COVID, don't go, you're gonna spread the disease." And little did I know, and time passed, and I should have trusted my intuition and insist more to just go visit her. Even though I cannot hug her or touch her, at least I can see her at a distance, kind of pay respect. And sadly, a couple weeks after she got a flu, she was gone the next day. and she passed away at age 99. So that really, I wouldn't say scarred me, but that definitely gave me a very strong sense of, I guess, duty to myself, that if I felt something very, very strongly, I should just do it without trying to rationalize, and actually just pay attention to that voice inside of you. So when I got, and fast forward this January, when I got the call from my sister, I was like, what would I regret? And immediately I bought a one-way ticket back to Taiwan in 1 hour's notice. And I said, hey, Annie, can you please tell grandma to wait for me? And yeah, so I went back, and she was already intubated, so she couldn't talk. And the first thing I did, go to the hospital. She's been sleeping for like 2 or 3 days, but when she saw me, she was so, you can see she was visually like very intense. Like, it was very happy to see me. And it was a really weird feeling to see my grandma not being able, and see someone you love that not being in a state that you hope for, right? So she couldn't talk. She was all like, tubed up with like a bunch of medicines and IVs. So that was pretty painful for me to see somebody that you cared in that kind of state. And because she was in an intensive care, or like the ER, we can only visit her like one hour every day. But I'm glad that I did that. But sadly, throughout the next 2 weeks, her condition deteriorated. I kept telling her to wait for my younger sister to come back from Australia, and my cousins, and also her son, who was my uncle, living in Olympia. And it was really painful, but yet it's a very odd feeling to kind of describe to you guys, because I haven't actually shared this publicly. This is the first time I shared this experience. I did a lot of contemplation when I was home by myself, was that she had a good life. And if she did and she's gone now, like, I would be so devastated that I could have spent more time with her, And now, actually looking back, I wish I spent more time with her in any shape or form that I could, but I didn't, right? So how can I value this moment right now to kind of honor that experience that I get to have with her? And how can I honor the way she lives life and she see things in a beautiful way, right? Like living in presence, even though you don't speak the language, but she just lives. And it was very hard to see also my mom next to her, and that mother-daughter bond that it's as if I'm a third person observing that something seems to be, you can never break. And my mom had to my mom was doing her nails and just trying to make her feel as comfortable as she can, because she had diabetes, and her circulation is not so good, so she was basically just pretty swollen in bed and trying to play music. And I remember this time that me and my older sister Annie actually went back. My grandma loves to buy lottery tickets, and because she couldn't talk, so she just can only move her head to kind of signal what number we want. So we just basically read 1, 2, 3, 4, and then she nodded the head on the number that she wanted, and we went ahead and buy tickets. Even went back and showed her like, hey, this is what we bought. Once you get better, we're gonna win the lottery and all that. And all in all, going back to the thing I want to kind of share, it's like, how do I approach, let's say, mortality and peace and appreciation? Is there's nothing you can really do. And then in Buddhism, they talk about the impermanence of life, and also the non-self, right? So if I apply the non-self, meaning, let's say, okay, it's not about my feelings, and it's about this person's well-being. Like, how can this suffer ends? And I actually don't have the answer for that, because it feels like as if things was just going through how it should be. Like, maybe her time just had to end, and maybe she actually had extra time compared, because she passed away at 89, and I thought was she actually thought her age was 86. So it was very, very hard to kind of witness when she was passing from being intubated, conscious when I came back, to the point that she was half conscious and half unconscious, to the point that we had to unplug the machine basically and be by her side when she passed. And the lesson, or I guess the things I did to kind of help me remain peaceful, was just always kept reminding myself, was like, what experience have I get to share with this person, and what did I learn from these from the qualities of this person, and how do I honor their presence even though that they're not here. For example, I think I wrote quite a lot of stuff to reflect this experience. Was like, even though this person's not here physically, but if she was here, how would she live her life? And how would I live my life through her being here? And I think by approaching, I guess, mortality in this way, it kind of free yourself of being focused on how, wow, this person's not here. I miss this person. And of course, I don't think that will ever go away. But by approaching it from this perspective or mindset, it kind of frees up a lot of weight from your shoulder, that you're not so attached. And that goes back to the non-self that the Buddhism talked about, right? It's like, if I go to Machu Picchu, oh wow, I wish my grandma will be here, right? But she's not here. Okay? What would she do, let's say, if she's here? How would she want me to live? And how would she want me to interact with the people of Peru? She will probably just really live, even though she don't speak the language. She'll probably try her best to connect with people, and even probably help out in some shape or form. And yeah, so that's one way that I think was pretty practical for me to kind of approach that. And from this experience of, because this is still pretty recent, it was only a couple months ago, so I think I'm still trying to process it. And again, it was such a weird feeling to be next to somebody who was passing, and be with them when they go cremated and go to the tomb and all that stuff. It just kind of feels quite surreal. And I feel that it's inevitable for all living beings. I had to, so one of my dog, Coco, one of my favorite dog, she also passed away from an accident. So that was also a very hard thing to kind of process. But the lessons I learned from mortality is like, it's inevitable. And when you know something is inevitable, actually that frees up a lot of space you have, that you're worrying about something that was going to happen, and how do you fully accept it in a way that you're truly okay with it. And that goes back to being in the present. So if I'm just trying my best every day, and if I'm gone tomorrow, and God said like, hey, did you had enough? Or like, I'll be like, hey, that was good, and I fucking try my best of whatever I'm trying to do. I try to be the best version of a friend or a lover or father, for whatever you're trying to accomplish. Did you really try your best? And it really taught me the facts of life is just impermanence. And because things are impermanence and mortality is inevitable, how do you make the best use of your time and energy while you're here? How do you do things that matters to you, and how do you affect people that you care, that we can just be in a better place, because I really think like now with all this war stuff going on, with like a lot of fucked up things going on in this like society, it's like, what can I do for my part that actually will help myself, help people around me, and again make the world a better place, so I'll definitely and to honor my grandmother, I'll definitely remember her as like she's very carefree, and just the attitude of just do it. Like she used to walk alone through the graveyards because my grandpa had gambling issue playing mahjong, so sometimes she has to go send money, and there's so many stories that like let's say people who are debtors will come collect money, and she'll just stand up for it. Of course, I'm not saying this is good, but in terms of the mentality that she holds as a strong woman, of taking care of things and not being afraid and doing what it takes, and just be such a motherly figure to everybody, and always concerned about other people's well-being more than hers, was quite inspiring for me to kind of to learn and embody. Just like think more for others than for yourself. Yeah, and I think this is a good ending point. I hope like maybe some of this stuff will make sense to you, maybe it won't. I'm just sharing my personal experience, and I'd like to hear some of your experience. If you have any loved ones that you have sent away, how did you deal with it, and what experience did you learn? And we read every comment, so I really would like to hear more about your experiences. So yeah, that's it for today's podcast. Thank you.